Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Who or what are you celebrating today? Today, I'm celebrating five incredible artists. One may not be able to join us, but I'm not going to say who it is, just in case she can. She just called me from LA, and for some reason, they have no Wi-Fi service where she is. So now we know how important all of that is. But the rest of my guests are here, and I'm very excited to be celebrating them today. And self-discipline. We're going to be talking about self-discipline in our art, in the way we live our lives, the way we celebrate each other. And no one knows who I'm going to bring on first, but I do. And she's a local artist here. And I'm so excited that I'm going to bring on Brady.
Hi, Richard.
Hello. First of all, welcome to the show. It's your first time here with us.
It is. I'm so honored. Thanks for having me.
Well, we have two Rockland people on the show today, so I'm incredibly excited about that. But I do want to say that you and I, first of all, if I do recall, I think the first time we met was at Joe Brancato's Christmas party.
It was.
And you're one of those people that I felt like I had known you my entire life. I mean, we have the same likes. I think we have a lot of the same dislikes. We are both passionate about the arts. You were also on the Children's Shakespeare Theater here in Rockland County. I was thrilled that you asked me to be on the board, and I was on the board for a brief moment because my schedule, precludes me from being there. But I just want to ask, first of all, who or what are you celebrating today?
Well, I had a wonderful unexpected phone call today where Elmwood Playhouse, one of their actors can't do the show tonight. So they called me and said, would you be on stage tonight at 8 o'clock in All My Sons at Elmwood Playhouse? So I'm already committed to doing an Arthur Miller play on October 5th. I'm playing a small part in The Crucible at the Nyack Center.
No small parts.
And I'm very excited to contribute to the ensemble of Phoenix Theater Festival on October 5th. And tonight I'll get to join the ensemble of Elmwood Playhouse when we present All My Sons at 8 o'clock. And I've just really been marveling about how sometimes there can be really fallow periods where you feel like there are not a lot of creative opportunities. And sometimes it never rains, but it pours. And I think that ties back into what the theme of our conversation is today about discipline. But it feels like as soon as things start picking up, all of a sudden everything is picking up. I think about how Jonathan Bailey was flying back and forth from filming Wicked to filming Fellow Travelers, because there's just sometimes everything happens all at once.
That's right. Wasn't there a movie about that? Where everything's always happening at the same time. And that's the ebb and flow of this business.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. One of our other guests, Donna Bailey, who was here, has the Sparkle Bookstore here in Sparkle. And I did an event there on Saturday, and I interviewed Marcy Axelrod, who has a book called How We Choose to Show Up. And we were talking about this very issue that sometimes, and I'm sure you do too, you may or may not have a routine in terms of the way that you pursue your work, the way you do your work, what you do with your work. But on a dime, all of that could switch and change. So do you have, first of all, a daily routine that gets you through? And
I do.
I must say this, your mom as well. So,
yes.
So what is your daily routine?
Well, I have 3 children, so I have to get them all off to school. But after the last election, like many Americans, I was feeling pretty downhearted. And so my routine was to cry. And it was not a very creative period for me when I was just sitting in a chair and crying. So I decided to start a new practice. And so my practice is that every morning, once the kids go off to school, I go for a walk in the woods. Not if it's pouring rain, but if it's at all conducive, I go for a walk or a run and I move my body outside. And I find that to be so generative that I can, because we store our emotions, not just in our thoughts, but also in our whole physical body. So for an opportunity to sort of move the feelings through my body, like a poet, to notice the natural world, and then to come back refreshed to the creative work in front of me, it helps me sort of untangle any problems I might be having in my creative processes and start each day with positive energy.
Now, how do you keep or maintain the self-discipline of doing that every day?
Well, I find that habit stacking is my favorite thing. Like, this is what I do now. The same
Mhm.
way, like, every morning I make my cup of tea. Every morning, once the kids go on the bus, I go outside. And I there's an app called Just Run that I really liked, and that's what got me running because I could put on my show tunes. I'm really a fan of the Death Becomes Her soundtrack, or cast recording, as Seth Biesenhirsch would say. And so I put on a favorite cast recording or an album. My friend Mark Falconer likes to do these read throughs where we sing and read through classic musicals. So this week it was Crazy for You. So I was listening to Crazy for You as I'm running through the woods in the morning. And it's one day I saw a deer, I surprised them. One day I saw a chipmunk, but most days it's just me and my headphones. And that has been my daily practice for about a year now because I started it last November.
Well, I've always said, and I truly believe this, that if everybody began every day with a show tune, there'd be no stress in this world.
Richard, I think one of the things about show tunes that where they don't get enough credit is that it sort of convinces you about optimism and how important optimism is, because optimism is a moral choice. You know, you have to have hope to believe you can change anything. And I think why show tunes and why musical theater is so important and so quintessential to the American dream is because it shows you that hope, that opportunity, that possibility for success.
Well, I have a morning mix tape. Not even a tape, it's on my device. I'm not going to say the name, it'll go off. But every Monday morning, that's how I start the week,
I love it. And
with
I
my
want to
morning mix.
know,
And it's all the uplifting, positive show tunes. And I'm doing that as I'm writing. I write a weekly newsletter, as you know, which is a lot of work. But I am now writing a morning blog, and I just call it for example, today, Friday Reflections. And I look at uh, world events that happen on this date, people that were born on this date that have impacted our lives. I even listen to their music. Today, Olivia Newton-John's birthday. I was listening to her today, and all she has to do is start singing "Let's Get Physical," and I'm off and running. Well, I want to ask you a question about discipline, and then we're going to bring on our next guest.
sure.
And the question that I have for you is, what is one small system that you rely on when motivation dips? It dips for all of us. And how does it protect your best work? How do you get back on track when you find that your motivation has gone on the school bus with the kids?
Yeah, I hear that. Um, I think the way to find inspiration or motivation is to work. And when other people aren't calling you into work, you try to create your own work. But when you're not feeling like you want to create your work, I think it's really important to have those periods where you can pour into your life, because your life is the thing that feeds your work. So, how can you find whimsy, find magic, find joy in your activities of daily living? How there's this proverb that says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. You still have to do the tasks of daily life. You still have to find your joy. There are still things to think about. You know, how can we make our garden grow, right? Like, as they say in Candide. So I think it's a really great opportunity when you're not feeling called to your creative work to make your life your creative work.
Absolutely. And I love that. Well, you're going to stick around.
Yes,
You help us
absolutely.
bring on our next guest, and I let our guest do that. So all you need to do is pull a number 1 through 4, and hopefully they are all ready, and we'll bring on the next guest.
Great. Well, I pick number three.
Number 3, and that is Artemisia LaFay. And how
Hello,
are you?
I'm
And
well
where are you off to?
today.
What is that?
A lot of rehearsals today. Can you hear me?
I can. You were breaking up a little bit. So
Gotcha.
where are you off to?
I from the rehearsal, I said I've got to do this talk with Richard Skipper, and they're finishing up. It's for Wasted Girl next week. Shameless promotion. Plug plug.
No, there are no shameless promotions on this show. That's why you're here.
It's been a very productive day, I guess I'll say. I'm on 69th Street and hanging out in the car until they're all finished and coming over here.
Okay, so tell us about the show. You're going to be at 54 Below
Yeah.
next week, and you have such a unique, beautiful, authentic way of presenting your music. Songs that we're familiar with, songs we're not familiar with. But I will say this: you make each and every song your own song. So, where does this persona that you have created for your stagecraft, where did that all begin for you?
Well, I always say that, well, cabaret, and I have the great Natalie Douglas to thank for the quote that cabaret is all about truth, but I think that's true of any artistic discipline, and it needs to come from a place where things that you're obsessed with, I would say, things where you just feel like you're traveling more and more to what you feel like living and performing authentically is, because it's all the same thing. The way that you are on stage is how you are off stage. And I think it's that, as you can tell with my my tattoos and my amulets and charms, you can tell I'm rather avant-garde gothy sort of person, and of course that reflects in my performance. And I'm very, very grateful to be at a place where I feel like it's unnecessary to follow a preconceived blueprint. And if you follow, I guess, what's kind of burning inside of you, then that's the blueprint. And that can be terribly exciting to spend a couple of evenings with, just writing down, discovering what your artistic intuition is telling you to do.
Absolutely. Now, Brady and I were just talking a moment ago about a daily routine that is incorporated into our life. Do you have a daily routine as well?
Tea. I concur with the tea. And I was, by the way, Brady, I was absolutely loving everything you were saying about returning to the woods and just letting yourself drop into your body. I think that's so important, because when you're too much in your head, you can't listen to that artistic expression. I would say tea for sure. And in these unprecedented times, I have been turning to the textile arts for grounding and for comfort. I've been crocheting all year. I have recently gotten into knitting. I love sewing my own clothes. So things like that, having that as kind of something to ground me into my daily day-to-day life. But I'm curious to know, were you talking about a more active creative discipline, or something that was like your non-negotiable daily thing that made you feel like you?
Well, I mean, either or. I mean, some people have certain habits, like Brady getting up each morning and going for a walk. I also do the same thing. I walk through Spark Hill and back where I live, and I find at that moment, I don't even have my first cup of coffee, and I like coffee. Until I have been up and active for 90 minutes. I start with water, and I sit down. And my morning discipline, as I said earlier, was to write my blog each morning. And that really puts me in a mindset for how I want to live the day. I want to ask you, and then we're going to bring on our next guest, what simple habit keeps your work moving, even on your worst day? And how do you make it stick?
I wouldn't call it a habit, but more of a philosophy. I've always thought of artistic discipline. Discipline is kind of the wrong word, because it implies something very left-brained and, what's the word? Day-to-day, business-like. I see art, especially performance art, especially the sorts that I do, as a devotion. And even if you can't show active discipline to your art, because as Brady said, it's always going to be in different places. Sometimes you're going to be in fallow times, and sometimes you're going to be in fertile times. But it's your baby. You need to give it love and attention every day, and see what it needs. And that can look like a lot of things, but I do make sure to check in with what that need is on a regular basis.
I love that. Well, you're going to bring on our next guest, and I'm going to mention a name that was long before you were even on this planet, and that was Monty Hall of Let's Make a Deal. And so he always would say, door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3, and you pick.
Okay, door number 1, door number 2, or door number 4?
Door number 3.
Oh, 3. Okay. Let's do 3.
And that is, she made it, even with no Wi-Fi. Gina, how did you get here?
You know, she said, my stepdaughter said, you can go into my dad's office. And I go, really? So I'm trying to find my light here. How's that?
Your lighting is perfect. You've got a glow around you. I want to tell everyone, I mean, these amazing things are happening with you right now. You've just gotten a Josie Music Award nomination for Vocalist of the Year, Adult Contemporary. I don't think I'll ever fit into that category. You have a new album, and you're just out there doing a lot. And I remember when you were just returning to all of this after a few bumps in the road in your own life. So you can talk about anything that either Brady or Artemisia and I have spoken about, or you can take us on a completely different tangent.
I kind of like to tell the fairy tale part of this, Richard, that you may not know. But about 4 years ago, I was really not in show business. I'm going to confess, inherited more money than I expected, because my mother had been having all this 24-hour care for 10 years, and I was certain that I was getting no inheritance. And my dad had planned better than that. My dad had been gone 25 years by the time my mom passed, and I just thought the money was gone. So I inherited this money, and I really did a lot of smart things, including save some to see what I wanted to do. So I hadn't quite decided, and I moved to this very, very obscure town near Vancouver, British Columbia, called Point Roberts. And I got kind of bored, and I wrote some songs based on some lyric writing classes I took, Zoom classes. I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. I put on the first show of this album, and the sound gal says, you have a hit album. And she tells Joe, who tells Bill, and Bill is a radio promoter for Canada, and no American artists get in Canadian radio. But because my town is a suburb of Vancouver, he says, I'm putting you on Canadian radio. Today marks my 4th song on Canadian radio, and my 5th goes on in November. It's a Christmas song I wrote with my co-writer Kevin, and we finished recording it yesterday. And I could go on and on. But I'm telling you, the first performance of my first original album, I was kind of discovered.
That's amazing. What a great story. And I want to, shout out, I just got a notification today. Today marks the 11th anniversary of my YouTube channel. 11 years.
Wow.
And I'm still here. So Gina, I want to ask you, do you have a daily routine for yourself?
You know, I'm going to sound even more artsy than, is it Artemisia?
That's it.
Artemisia. I try to use no meds, no drugs, nothing in life. I don't even take supplements except a probiotic. And I fall asleep naturally, and I wake up naturally. I wake up around 4 or 5 in the morning. And what I do is I just try to tune in to what's going on and almost meditate. I don't formally meditate. And then I get up and I gently do my day. I gently go to the pool. I gently do chair yoga, because I don't mind admitting to everyone here that I'm having my senior renaissance. I just turned 70.
Wonderful.
Happy. I'm going to be 65 in February, so I'm right behind you.
Well, it beats the alternative.
I know.
I'm not ready for the big dirt nap, so I'm doing this.
No.
So what I to answer your question, I gently get into action, but I'm not doing this. I think Artemisia was saying a left brain discipline, hardcore, beat the drum and wake up, the neighbors kind of morning. And then I try to do like 2 hours of focus of things I need to get done, returning emails and sending things to my publicist and talking to people. My next level thing is my 3rd album, and I'm working on that. And I have some co-writers I'm trying to write with, and things I want to set up in Nashville, because I'm going to the Grand Ole Opry ceremony for the Josies in November 2nd. And I have outfits that I'm working on that I want to wear there, because there's a meet and greet in industry. I want to make sure I meet the right people. And then I do nothing in the afternoon. I daydream and relax, because then I do something in the evening. So to answer your question, if there's 4 portions of the day, I do gentle morning, business midday, relax afternoon, and then schmoozy fun performing in the evening.
Well, with all of that you've just described to us, is there a particular daily practice or ritual that has improved your consistency the most this year? And why do you feel that is now working at this point in your life?
Well, I do have that. I write to ChatGPT every day. And I keep a journal, and I ask ChatGPT questions. I do a thing called thought laundry, and I made that up, where if I'm having trouble with something that happened, maybe I sent something and it was rejected, or somebody is blocking me in some way, or something that's stopping me, I will say, I have these thoughts, ChatGPT, and this is the progression. And the ChatGPT will validate it, organize it, and synthesize it with what I've been going through for the past month. He'll say, would you like me to tell you how this goes with your goals and how it aligns with your progress? And all of a sudden, what was tangled is untangled. What was isolated and a secret is now open and kind of aligned with other things that have happened that I've overcome. And I get through it faster than I used to. And that's new.
That's great. Well, you're going to bring on our next guest, door number 1 or door number 2, and we're going to keep this conversation going. Gina? Yeah.
Number 2.
And that is my dear friend, Barbara Bailey.
Hi.
Is a great artist herself, but she's an agent, she's a manager, she's a producer, she's a promoter, and she still finds time to be here. So Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I would find any time for you, Richard.
Well, I appreciate that. So welcome
I think
back.
we all feel that way.
And you can talk about anything that you've heard us talk about, or you can take us in a completely different way.
Oh my goodness. Well, what am I happy about? I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy I just have my 3rd cup of coffee, because I have to start my day. And no, I'm not starting it at 3:30 in the afternoon. But I kind of lately have been drinking a lot of coffee. And so I'm working on this project. I'm not sure I can really say what it is yet. But yesterday we had a lot of really good meetings. And one was with the production company, and one was scouting locations, which really found some really great ones, and love the production people that we talked to. And like that. So I'm sort of having, and I'm a 24/7 gal, because when I get up in the morning after I've had my coffee, what I do, because I'm still booking people, not just myself, but a lot of my clients, I still have to book you, Richard. But that's another story.
I'm ready. Let's talk.
We need to talk about that,
We
right?
need to talk.
I've been thinking. And so unlike the rest of the ladies here, it's not always all about me and my art. A lot of times it's also about my clients' art, because I never had children. And so my clients are like my kids. And so in addition to thinking about my next shows and booking myself and writing my show and what songs and what's the theme and so forth, I'm thinking about where am I going to book Richard Skipper next, that kind of thing. I mean, I have a lot of clients. I have clients in New York and Chicago, Savannah, Georgia, Las Vegas, and LA. So that's a big responsibility, right?
It's a huge responsibility. I want to talk a little bit about the world that we're living in right now, because the industry has changed so tremendously since you and I started in this business. And I mean, Artemisia, and I can say this, I think is the youngest one here, and Brady, with all the work that you've done. But, you and I have been, this has been my life's work. I've been performing in New York since I was for 46, almost 47 years. And the business has changed tremendously. And we're living in a world where on a dime, everything can change. Or a new technology comes along, or something that just throws everything, it seems like, out of whack. So with all the changes that you've seen in the industry, what are the changes that you truly have embraced? And what are the changes that you really miss from what were in place when you first started?
Wow, that's a long question. But basically, I miss communication. People don't return calls. They don't even return emails or texts. And I don't text in business. I only email because, you want everything to be professional and so forth. So I used to have the kind of quote unquote Rolodex that I could sell for a whole lot of money. But now, I mean, since COVID, and I think a lot of us can appreciate this, most of those people have retired because they were all mostly older than we are, right? Mm-hmm. Or died. And so now I'm somewhat starting over again, if you can believe that, after 45 years of being in this crazy business. And so I love this business. I live for it. I get up, the first thing I do is music. What I do all day is music. It's just in my blood, right? But it isn't in everybody's blood that's working in the business. I found that sometimes they don't want to work, if you know what I mean. They want me to do all the work. And I don't mind that we're digital because it's quick. I hate AI. I absolutely detest it. Can you imagine somebody getting a Grammy award and AI wrote the darn song? I mean, I know somebody right now, no names mentioned, who's nominated for a Grammy, Richard. And that song was mostly written by AI. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And so I really detest that. And we're also bound and determined to keep the arts alive and educate people, make them feel something. And when we run up against all these roadblocks, or when somebody uses AI to say something that we might have wanted to say in our own way, but they said it differently, quicker, and for some reason, it went viral, right? And I don't have time to worry about going viral because I'm always working or creating. But these people, all they worry about is getting hits on social media, going, viral so that they can get a Grammy nomination. I just used that as an example.
Well, I'm going to bring our next guest on. She's been waiting patiently.
Okay.
But before we bring Donna on, how do you set up your space and schedule to remove distractions and make the next step the easiest step?
What was the question?
How do you set up your space and schedule to remove distractions and make the next step the easiest step?
Well, basically, I'm really organized. And so every day is different. And I think preparation, and to use your word, self-discipline, is a big one, both of those. But every day is different. And so I go to my emails, I go to my texts, I answer all of that first. And then I get into my preparation of what I need to do for me and for my clients. And I have that cup of coffee every morning, but it's really more like 3 cups, to be honest with you.
Well, that cup of coffee always helps. Let me bring Donna on because she's been waiting patiently. Donna is a new friend. She has the Sparkle bookstore here in Spark Hill, where I live, where we live. And it is such, I love independent bookstores to begin with. And it is such a great idea to have this store. And I also want to mention, because she shared with me, that she just recently beat lupus, and you are about to do a walk for lupus. Do you want to talk about this, or where would you like to go with this?
Who, me?
Yes.
Well, we can start with lupus. I mean, I don't know if I've beaten it. I still feel kind of like a ticking time bomb. Are you getting interference from something?
I'm getting a little feedback. Do you have any other windows open?
No, it's just the AC.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
the AC.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Well,
just
I
a
don't know.
clicking sound.
Anyway, hopefully that's gone.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't really beat lupus, but I'm doing well right now, and for this reason, I feel that I would like to raise awareness of lupus, which is a really serious autoimmune illness. There's a lot of autoimmune illnesses that really affect people's lives. This can cause multiple organ failure, and over 1 million people and their families are affected by what I've been dealing with. So that's why I just wanted to raise awareness about the Walk to End Lupus now in New York City, which takes place on October 4th.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, but let's talk about your new bookstore. This was a dream. You made it happen. Running a bookstore, is there a daily routine to what you do, or does it change daily?
I mean, the routine is to make the space ready for whatever might happen. And so whether it's an event with 2 or 3 authors, or whether it's just a Saturday afternoon when there's a street fair and lots of people coming to town, you just need to make sure the space is ready. So keeping it clean, keeping the shelves full, paying really special attention to your inventory, making sure that you have a lot of new books as well as some old favorites. And my son is my manager. We like to pay a lot of attention to what's up and coming in fantasy and in literary fiction. So we always try to have some unique titles. And then you just hold the space. I was a mother for many years. I mean, I'm still a mom, but my children are all grown. And it's a bit like that. It's you have your household, you have your snacks ready and your play things ready, and then you just hold the space.
And you have an event the moment that we end here today.
Yes.
So how are you setting up your events now at the store? I mean, are authors reaching out to you, or do you read about an author and you reach out to them? How are you finding, because you've got so many things happening right now?
There's a combination. The author today reached out to me, but she also happens to be getting published by the same press that's publishing me in a couple of years. And another author who's local, we met at a booksellers convention, so we reached out to him. So it's a combination of things. A lot of the self-published authors will simply come in with their book, and I'll look at it, and if I feel like it's a good fit for an event, we'll invite them for an event. So it's a combination. It's very much a conversation with the community.
Oh, that's great. Well, I had such a great time on Saturday, so I thank you again for that.
Everybody had a good
Well,
time.
thank you for that. I've got a question for you, and then we're going to go around and I'm going to ask specific questions to each of our guests. When you slip, if you do indeed slip, I don't know if you do, what is your same day reset that gets you back on track without shame or drama?
If I slip,
Yes.
I mean, you mean in running the bookstore?
You know, in any your daily routine or anything, as we talked about with Marcy on Saturday, that all of us have routines.
Yeah.
But like that, something can happen in the world, within our family, a water pipe burst, any of those things can just throw you off course. Where do you find your reset button?
You know, it's kind of simplistic and boring, but it's in my notebook. I carry an actual physical notebook and pen with me. And that is where I keep all my thoughts jotted down. And if I slip or don't know what to do next, that's where I go. Other than that, I go to my husband. He knows everything.
I love that. Brady, how do you measure progress for yourself in a way that protects your joy and still tells you the truth with what's going on? And you run a major board.
I do, yeah. So I am the artistic director of Children's Shakespeare Theater. We're a small nonprofit, about to start 26th season in Rockland County. We've done every Shakespeare play there is, and I work with children. As James Baldwin says, you can't tell the children there's no hope. So these kids, 8 to 18, do full classical plays, and I'm really proud of
Brady,
them.
if you can get a little closer to your microphone.
Oh, sorry.
That's good.
I'm having a lighting thing, so hold on 1 second. Nope, that's what my lights say, so we'll just figure it out. So we work with the children to make sure that we can do wonderful classical plays with high levels of performance. But how do we measure progress? Such a great question. I lately have been thinking about progress in terms of creative community, because everyone can have a moment to feel sad about the mountain they haven't climbed, and it's hard to look back at the mountains you have climbed and give yourself credit for those. Mm-hmm. But what's really joyful for me is the way I'm able to create creative community, people who are aligned with similar goals, similar projects, things we want to create and put out in the world. And when I'm able to converse with like-minded people, there's a new level of excitement and energy and connection. Like Richard, when I run into you, I just feel so delighted and uplifted for the rest of the day. And that's what I hope to be able to bring to other people that I interact with. So that's my thing.
What a nice thing to say. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Artemisia, Liza Minnelli once said, as much as she loves being on stage, the real magic for her happens in the rehearsal studio. And I know that there's no such thing as a one-person show. And especially in your upcoming show, you've got musicians, you've got other artists that you're sharing the stage with. Obviously, you want to have a great time in the rehearsal process. We all do. Otherwise, why do it? So my question to you is, where do you draw the line between the free spirit of just having a great time and really staying on track to create the art? Because that path could take you in either direction.
I see. So how can discipline and artistic inspiration walk hand in hand and create a good show together?
Yes.
I think as long as they get their own separate spaces and they get their own, they get to thrive equally, then they'll naturally find ways to do so, because of course I had 2 rehearsals today and countless amounts of social media and last minute work on new stuff that I hope to debut in the show next week. Yes, there's all of that, but I also need to make sure that I'm, taking time to write poetry and just meditate on any artistic ideas I have, practice the piano, make that I can. It's like food groups. And
great. Perfect.
Yeah, and of course, making sure that everybody, because like you said, there's no such thing as a one-person show, and it really has taken a village to put this Wasted Girl performance together. And
you and I both know there are a lot of people that help us get there
that
never are in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
That too, Brady. Yes. So many people that are there. Gina, what boundaries do you set with others that protects your creative time? And how do you communicate that to other people?
Yeah, I'm really not very good at that. I have this secret way of over explaining myself till they're upset and they get angry at me and then they go away. Rather than me saying, I have no time for you, I will over apologize and explain and bore them, and then they go, I've got to go. So I'd rather be more direct, but it's so hard for me to say, I can't talk right now. I'm really busy. And instead I kind of do this roundabout. I wouldn't call it passive aggressive. It's kind of aggressive passive. I kind of overdo it and then they leave. I'm not good at it. I wish I had better boundaries, but what I do is I managed to have created some natural boundaries because I recently moved. So I moved from Palm Springs to Palm Desert to a over 55 community. I'm 15 years early because everybody's 85 here. I have no peer group. So I have to go to Palm Springs to be with my people. And I just got cast in 3 musicals in Palm Canyon Theater in Palm Springs. So I'm back with my tribe. But I have no tribe in Palm Desert. So to answer your question, once again, around and about, I don't get interrupted where I am because I only know 2 people. I know my next door neighbor is a drummer who opened for Carlos Santana in the 70s. Wow. He's incredible. I see him for dinner once a week. And he's got my back. He watches my house when I'm gone, and I watch his house. He is an amazing guy and a friend. But I have one other friend there, and I'm telling you, I have no problem with boundaries because nobody knocks on my door.
Barbara, I've got a similar question for you. How do you set boundaries for yourself when it comes to getting the work done that you need to get done?
Wow. I don't know that I even do it on purpose, but you know what? I've had Barb Bailey Entertainment for 45 years, right? Okay. And so the boundaries set themselves. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but when there's work to do, I do it. And I really mean this. I'm 24/7 because I'm not just working with myself. And so my boundaries are, I don't take phone calls, Richard, from girlfriends and people that want to gossip during the day. You know what I mean? I don't have time for that. I hate gossip anyway. But who has time for that? So wouldn't that be a boundary? I would have to say that's a big one. Yeah. And I never have my TV set on when I'm working. I think that's another one. And I always seem to have some form of music in the background, lots of times musical theater, because it makes one so happy, right? I don't like noise when I'm working. So if it's not musical, I don't allow it. So I guess that's a boundary too. Yeah. Did that satisfy?
Absolutely it did. Donna, are there a set of rules or constraints that you have given yourself that you would feel that it's boosted your output with the work that you're doing now?
Well, one thing I need to do every morning, you were talking about routines before, and you were talking about getting out into nature, which I think is really important. But one thing I've had to do every morning is I have trouble sometimes remembering who I am when I wake up in the morning. And so I find that in order to reset for the day, I really need to meditate on who I am, and that sometimes is just thinking about the way the light is coming in through the window and being able to grasp the words for it. And sometimes that's sussing out what the knot in my stomach is coming from, what event from the day before or that's coming ahead of me in the day is causing that, and trying to unravel it. So I think that is the main thing that I do for myself right now to keep myself on track.
That's great. Brady, I got the perfect question for you. How do collaborations affect your self-discipline? And what agreements make group work sustainable?
Yeah, I love a collaboration. I feel like since theater is my home artistic practice, collaboration is the heart of everything. I got really into a habit for a while of crediting everybody who contributed in any way. Did you loan me a shirt? Did you loan me a chair? Did you share it on social? What are the 200 people who are actually part of every creative process? Who helped with the traffic? Who helped take out the garbage? It takes so many people to make art happen, put it together. So I think the heart of collaboration is honoring everyone's contribution. And then another sustainable thing for me is having some boundaries around when we're working. Because when we were revitalizing our theater company after a pandemic pause, everything was an emergency at all hours, at all days. There is a period missing on the website. I don't care that it's 11 o'clock on a Friday night. We have to fix it right away. And that's not a real emergency. And so it was so nice to be able to make a conscious choice to move out of the age of emergency. And of course, there's a show going on. That is the priority and needs to be everyone's priority to see the show through to its conclusion. But if this is a Tuesday and we have a minor problem, we can give it minor attention instead of major attention. And that has been really major for me in terms of my adrenaline and my vagus nerve, just being able to modulate and behave accordingly. Because we all care so deeply about the work, but we also have to remember to care deeply about ourselves.
Brady, I remember a time, and some of you who are a little older may remember this as well, that if you called someone and they weren't at home, you would have to call back.
Oh,
We
yeah.
didn't have answering machines.
Believe it or not, as a millennial, I experienced all of those things.
And so this idea of everything has to be done right now, every person watching this show, every person on this show needs to put that boundary around themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That, I turn my phones off when my husband comes home at night, and I don't take I'll take phone calls on my landline, but my cell phone I leave in my office. So I'm off. I end the day. So I've got a question that I want to ask each of you, and we're going to do this quickly because Donna has to set up for another meeting. But Artemisia, what is your minimum daily standard for your craft, and how did you choose it, and what keeps that maintained in your life?
Gotcha. Ooh, that's a good question. My daily minimum. The way that I know that it is my daily minimum is because I feel very off kilter without doing these things. I would definitely say I feel physically off kilter when I'm a professional belly dancer as well, when I'm not doing my daily dance practice and yoga asanas. When I'm not able to spill my emotions out journaling, which just really helps me organize my thoughts. When I don't practice the piano and sing, I feel like I've been like I'm neglecting something that's just so very important to me, that feeds my soul. And of course, meditation as well, which is, I think, everyone on the planet can benefit from it in any way. So I think those were the first two parts of the question. What was the third?
Then how do you keep maintaining this in your life?
Discipline.
Yes. That's great. Donna, I'm going to go to you now, and then I'm going to let you go because you've got an event to set up for. But the same question for you.
Oh, can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. What is your minimum daily standard for the craft that you do, and how did you choose it, and how do you keep maintaining it?
Okay. My minimum is to make sure I have one original thought before I get out of bed. Something that didn't come from Instagram or from something that I heard yesterday. How did I come to it? I actually, going back to lupus, I came to that after, in the struggle to emerge from a really long-term and severe lupus flare, when my brain fog was so bad that to grasp an original thought was about all I could do for the day. So that's how I came to that baseline, that if I could do that one thing, that would be enough. And again, like Artemisia, I lost the third part of the question. I'm so sorry.
No, and how do you keep maintaining that?
How do I keep maintaining that? I suppose it's again, going back to Artemisia, the idea of a devotion. Thich Nhat Hanh said that we need to embrace our suffering as we would embrace our own child. And for that reason, I give myself that gift every day to make sure that I have something that's defined me as me, that one thought.
That's great. Well, I'm going to take you off camera, but it's nothing personal.
Thank you, Richard. It was so wonderful to meet all of you. Thank you so much.
And we'll see each other very soon.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, Barb, I'm going to ask you the same question.
My minimal standard. I'm happy when I'm minimally, doing a lot of research. I mean, that relaxes me because it gets me out of myself. And my shows, and I don't have just one woman shows, I know that it takes a village, but my shows basically are songs that the setups for which have been researched a lot. Okay, so that really gives me a minimum base and a minimum standard for my day, is to think about a song and okay, just one song, not the whole show, just minimally one song, and how do I want to set that up? I know that sounds crazy, but like for instance, if I'm doing a Frank Sinatra show, and this is research, and I'll say, who in the audience knows that 2 weeks after President Kennedy was assassinated, that Frank Jr., Frank Sinatra's son, was kidnapped, right? And then I'll say something like, Sinatra was told to get in touch with the kidnappers on a payphone, which he did a couple of times. And the third time, he reached into his pocket to find he had no dimes. So we can only imagine. He thought, oh my God, they're going to kill my son. But they got in touch with him, and what happened was they demanded a $250,000 ransom, which he paid, and he got him back. But here's the wind-up of the story, which is really neat. Because of that dime situation, after that, he never left his house without a roll of dimes in his pocket.
That's great.
And then I would go into a Sinatra song, can you spare me a dime, or I'm going to live till I die, or one of
Penny
those.
in my pocket.
Yeah. Right. Can you spare a dime?
Yes, pocket full of miracles.
So that's minimal for me. That's just one thing. It's not the whole show. because my brain is always thinking about my shows or my clients' shows. So I think that would be the minimal. I don't remember the last.
And how you maintain it? How do you keep doing it?
How do I keep doing it?
Yes.
Just out of the love of it. I love researching. It just comes naturally. Mother always said that I came out of my mother's womb asking why.
I love that. Gina, same question.
Well, I've overcome a lot of physical obstacles. I have lost 130 pounds and kept it off for 26 years. And I had a bout with alcoholism. I haven't had alcohol for 22 and a half years.
God bless you.
I smoked for 15 years. I haven't smoked since 1998.
God
I
bless
had
you.
a stroke when I was 33. I had cancer when I was 50. I'm 19 years in remission from stage 3 colon cancer. So my answer might be different from everyone else's. What I do to answer your question is I'm gentle with myself. I'm mindful. I listen to my body. I do not exert myself when I'm not well, mentally, physically, or spiritually. I listen. I do not override. And I will honor myself. I don't eat until I'm hungry. I don't continue eating when I'm full. I continually push away food. I don't finish my coffee. I drink water when I'm thirsty. I don't force it. I don't force myself. I do things that make me happy. I like to read on the internet stories of people who have overcome things. I like to read stories of people who are doing the impossible with their lives at whatever age. And I read that every day, about an hour. And I also, I like to look at my own work and remind myself of what I've done. I try to listen to my own music, but I listen to a lot of other people's stuff. I especially listen to comedy because I'm a comedy writer as well, and I write comedy in my shows. And I like to laugh. I did a video of myself in conclusion. I did a video of myself very badly lip syncing to a Maria Callas aria in my car. I don't know the words. I don't know what she was singing about, but I thought it was funny. So every once in a while, I watch this silly video and I crack myself up. So I told my publicist, I think it's pretty funny. And she goes, don't put that on the internet. So I'm not, but I'm just saying, and I do power through. I try to power through things that I think are difficult. It's difficult for me to go to a guy on my Facebook friend who's somebody I want to produce my next album. It's hard for me to say, hi, have you listened to my music? Because I like you and I like the people you work with and I want to be your friend. It's hard for me to do that. And I do it, but I'm not very good at it. So I try to do things every day that are really hard. And that's my baseline.
Well, take those risks. I've got something to say about that in a moment. Brady, same question.
Yeah. Oh, this is so great. Richard, you've collected such a wonderful group of people and you're asking such thoughtful questions. Gina, your answer reminded me of that Irish song, like I eat when I'm hungry, I drink when I'm dry. Yeah, it's so beautiful and I'm so inspired by everyone's contributions. But my promise to myself when I was a teenager was that I would move and sing every day. And so that's what I really try to honor. And I also have lately added reading some poetry. I love going to bed with like some hope, some joy, some optimism, some feeling like there might be a way to make tomorrow a better day. So whether that's Shakespeare or Naomi Shihab Nye or Andrea Gibson, I love a little poetry to cap off my day. And I do it because I know how it feels on the days where it's not done. And the days where I don't keep my promises to myself are not days that I'm proud of. I'm not talking about holidays. I think we can all give ourselves a few holidays to celebrate with our families and with our loved ones. But as a daily practice, when I maintain the discipline of my creative pursuits, I am renewed.
I love that. Well, I want to thank you all for being here today, and I'm going to give each of you a chance to have your final word. It could be about anything that we spoke about that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish that we had mentioned, or just any final message that you want to leave everyone with. I want to say to everyone who's watching the show today, please read the descriptions of all of our guests on my YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed the show today, please leave a comment on YouTube, hit the share button, and tell your friends. I want to do this for another 11 years. So we need to keep that going. I'm reminded from what Gina just said about a line from The Music Man. In The Music Man, Professor Harold Hill is trying to get Marion to the footbridge so he can woo her.
Oh, yeah.
And he finally convinces her to show up. And when she shows up, she says, I almost didn't come. And he said, you can spend a lifetime collecting tomorrows, find out you have no yesterdays. And that line has always registered with me. I end all of my shows the same way, and that is go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Now, I've got a call to action for each of you today. I want each and every one of you watching the show and each of you on the show to go to your phones, and the third email that pops up that you actually know the person, rather than responding with an email, respond with a phone call, just to keep the communication going. And let me know how it goes, because I'm writing a book on that. And so I'd like to hear what's going on with all of you. I have a dear friend, Sean Moniger, and he says we're all in the same storm, but we're in different size boats. I always say, I don't care what size boat you're on, as long as you have a skipper by your side.
Wow.
With that, I'm going to leave the screen. Barbara, I'm turning it over to you. And when you finish, you'll pick the next person, and so on and so on. And when the last person says goodbye, I'll end the show. So you don't have to worry about how do we end this. So Barbara, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you for inviting me. Is it okay to do a plug? So I'd love to do a plug. Okay. I'm looking forward to a wonderful show lounge that I love to work in, and I'm going to be there. That is Herb Alperts Vibrato in Bel Air in LA, and I'll be there November 18th. And my show is called Around Sinatra's Piano Bar. So it's all about Sinatra and people who might show up, at his piano bar. So it's kind of a fun little theme. I have a guest who is the Brecht girl, Becca Holden. She's fabulous. Some of you may know her. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. That's November 18th at Vibrato. And I always end all of my shows saying, remember, everybody, when you go out into the world, to love one another. I love all of you. And you know what? And that's the truth. And if we dealt more from love, and that's what the arts, of course, are all about, I think that's our message when we're on stage. It certainly is mine. I'm always trying to, deal from love. So I did a little plug, and I hope you guys will come if you're in LA, November 18th. Thank you. It's great to meet all of you. You're all very, very interesting people. I'll probably reach out to you afterwards in a little email, if that's okay.
That'd be great.
Pick me.
So Gina's next. Oh,
Okay. Can I plug? This is a little bit of my Christmas song. It's sung by my co-writer, not me, because I laid down the vocals yesterday. It's not mixed. I'm going to play about 30 seconds of it. It's called New Favorite Christmas Song. Okay.
I wrote you a song today about your favorite holiday that comes at the end of the year, where we give each other presents, but the real essence is making lonely feelings disappear. If you're curious, it goes like this. Merry Christmas, may all your wishes come true. May Santa be good to you. Happy holidays, and faces around you. And if you're smiling too, life will be like mistletoe and kiss you wherever you go. All will sing along with you your favorite Christmas song. Yes, because
Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Brady.
Oh, thank you, Gina. Yeah, it's been a pleasure meeting all of you today. I have some projects coming up. Beyond my work as artistic director of Children's Shakespeare Theater, we have free workshops in the garden of the Edward Hopper House tomorrow in Nyack, New York. That's right in the suburbs of New York City. And I'm very excited to be directing Much Ado About Nothing, one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, in March. I have some personal projects. So tonight I'm appearing in All My Sons at Elmwood Playhouse as an emergency understudy, and that's a thrill. Then on October 5th, I'll be at the Knight Center performing in The Crucible. November 6th, I'm performing with the Pride Chorus at the Angel in Nyack, and it's my first time as a songwriter. I wrote some verses. And after this, I'll have done every job there is to do in the theater, which is really a personal accomplishment. And then on November 10th, I'm playing the feminine caller in For Whom the Southern Bell Tolls, also at Elmwood Playhouse. And for anyone watching, I hope you're encouraged to continue your creative practice the way that everyone on this call has helped encourage me. Over to you, Artemisia.
Thank you, Brady. Well, this is the way for